introduce our guest speaker here today, Sister Blanch Linton. She is actually serving here on campus in the missionary capacity, but she's got some wonderful professional experience, particularly in the area of the company that she helped co-found called School Improvement Network. In that entity, she's had over 15 years experience as both the president and as the general manager, supervising daily operations and directing the accounting department, warehouse management, and this is going to be a great opportunity for you to also learn not only about starting up the business in the educational field, but how they've done some things as a family through the past few years. She has 5 children, 1 daughter and 4 sons, 17 grandchildren, I think, and I can't really have some grandchildren, not that old. But that's exciting for us to have her here. She is has been involved in this company. This is a great opportunity for you to learn today about someone who has started initially a small business and grown it, but the stability of having that within her family as well. So please join me in welcoming Sister Blanch Linton as our guest lecturer today.
Thank you. We need to start with a goodie. Who's ready for chocolate? And I just lost my microphone. Oh well. Can we just pass those bowls around? Okay. Please look at the packaging on the chocolate. It has our company logo on it. The candy inside is made by Utah Truffles, a Salt Lake City-based company. We hand these out at conferences. People will come to our exhibit to get candy, and then we can talk to them and sell them our products. Oh, Roy, please. Can you hear me okay? I'm a teacher. I move around. So if I get too far away from the microphone, someone please let me know. As Brother Tanner said, I am here as a missionary, and I am so blessed to be able to be a missionary, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that. I work in the Office of Academic Support, and we are here to support all students. We're here to help you be successful. I recognize a number of you, and I am so happy to see familiar faces in the audience, and I hope to get to know all of you. And please know you are welcome to visit us in our office room 124 anytime to talk about your academic pursuits or anything else for that matter.
Covered all of North America, and we're expanding internationally. That expansion is rather slow. We are across North America rather extensively. There are over 1 million educators that have license to the products, software products. Right now there are about 300 employees. The company is growing rapidly. Recently, an office was opened in the Philippines, which employs programmers and developers. And there are about 40 employees there with the goal to have 100 developers in that office by the end of the year. And that's where my great-grandchildren are, with their mother and their father who are running that office. Our company has been recognized as one of the 10 fastest growing companies in Utah, and it has also been voted by our employees as one of the best companies to work for. Very impressive. And I am very blessed to be known as a co-founder this business. And that looks really good, doesn't it? But no, it has not come easily. There's been a lot of sacrifice, a lot of work, long hours, and still long hours going into it. And we'll talk about that. This company is very mission driven. And if you are creating a company, identify your mission and make sure that it is a mission that you can be passionate about. Our mission was created in the very first days of our business. It is to improve the learning for all students, and we really do mean all. And we base that on our knowledge of the gospel. Christ was concerned for all people, not just the best students, or not just the worst, all, and all really does mean all. We believe that students can succeed if teachers and administrators have the skills and the tools in order to help them maximize their potential so that students can maximize their potential. Students are only as good as the teacher in the classroom. And if students aren't being successful in the classroom, more often than not, is it the student's fault? Sometimes, especially if students aren't going to class and doing their homework. But frequently, teachers are doing the best they can with the knowledge they have. They just don't have all the knowledge they need to involve their students and help them really succeed at very high levels. I have been involved in have blessed my life in amazing ways. I've had incredible experiences reading all over the world. I prayed for a long time that I might be able to use the skills that I had developed and the experiences that I have had in a way to serve. Because I have been so blessed, I felt a great need to serve. What a happy day it was when I received my mission call to serve in Hawaii. I'm really not retired. I'm really old, as you can see by all the wrinkles in this face. But I just took a leave of absence. When I turned 70, I thought, oh my goodness, I'm not ready to quit work. But if I'm going to go on a mission, I better hurry and get my papers in, or I'll be too old and they won't let me go. So I took a leave of absence, and here I am, and I want you to know how much I love it. And most of all, I love getting to know and work with the students at BYU Hawaii. You are a great blessing in my life, and I learn so much from all of you. There are vast opportunities in education. In the United States, it is a $37 billion industry. Are there opportunities for you? Now, many of you do not live in the United States, but I can't help but believe that there are opportunities in education in your own countries. And if you are interested in exploring entrepreneurial opportunities in education, I would be more than happy to sit down with you and share with you what I have learned over the years. Entrepreneurship has blessed my family, has molded all of our lives in amazing ways. But the key really is taking advantage of all of the experiences and opportunities that come your way. Learn everything you can. Get all of the experiences that are available to you. There are so many opportunities to succeed. Now, where do we all begin? I have to tell you this story. I was an elementary school teacher, and believe me, I love teaching. I love watching people learn. I taught elementary school for a number of years. The last many years, I've been teaching teachers and school administrators. I love teaching. I love teaching in the church. It's probably one of my very favorite things to do. I really love education. Next to my family and the gospel of Jesus Christ, I love education. My husband was also a teacher, although he's an artist. He found film and photography as an outlet for his creative expression. He worked for a number of years at the BYU Motion Picture Studio and then BYU, the television station, producing documentaries. Finally took a step, went on his own, created a company, had lots of ups and downs with that entrepreneurial experience. And when there was a very low down, he was offered a teaching position. He actually had graduated planning to be a teacher. Loved students, looked forward to teaching, but he was offered a full-time position at BYU and decided to take that. He'd always wanted to go into the classroom. He started teaching high school science at a large high school in the southeast part of Salt Lake Valley. He went to school his first day. The principal showed him to his classroom and showed him where the books were and said, "Good luck." And that was it. A lot of teachers get started that way. At that time, particularly. The chairman of the science department came over and said, "Well, this year we decided we're all going to do our own thing, so good luck." He felt completely lost. He hadn't been in a classroom since he had done his student teaching 15 years before that. He needed some help. It's very different in education today because new teachers have mentors, and there is a lot of training going on all of the time for teachers. There was none then. He needed validation that he was doing it right. So during his planning period, he'd walk through the halls and he would eavesdrop on teachers as they were giving their lessons, just to see if he was doing it like everyone else was doing it, if he was doing it right. But in doing that, his creative will started turning, and he, because of his background in production, he thought, why can't we videotape or film teachers? And then sell the tapes. Teachers are very isolated. They're stuck in their classroom. They can't go out and observe what their colleagues are doing. And so that vision kept festering in his mind. He shared it with me. I loved the idea. Took a few years to get it going, but eventually we were able to leave our school system and really pursue our dream. We have lived the dream. I love the title of this workshop, Empowering Your Dreams. Keep those dreams alive. You have so many opportunities. We had a great idea. We were very passionate about what we could do. We knew education and we knew how to produce high-quality videotapes. My husband had been asked by our school system to leave the classroom and produce programs on topics of education which they had to disseminate to all of the teachers in the district. So we had a little experience in classrooms. We would produce videotapes of great teachers, and then we had the idea, well, how are we going to sell them? And we determined, why not sell a subscription? Sell it like a magazine, although it would be videotapes. So every month of the school year, school systems would receive a set of videotapes which would be used for professional development or training for teachers to help them see what the research said, to help them see what other teachers were doing and improve their skills. No one had ever done this. There were no precedents. We had great ideas. We didn't have much money at all. We've been teachers. In the United States, teachers are paid, they're kind of at the bottom of the scale as far as pay goes. So, how are we going to finance a business without any assets? A bank agreed to loan us $10,000. Well, that would get us through maybe the first month. Wouldn't go very far. My husband had gotten to know some national, very prominent educators in the work that he had done with the district. We are risk takers. And even though we didn't have money, we were willing to take a risk. So we approached these national educators, shared our idea with them. They liked it, and they agreed to partner with us. They invested a small amount of startup money. They had a mailing list of about 200 names, and they had contacts. That was everything that we needed. We agreed to a 50-50 partnership. Listen carefully if you're planning to do this. Bad mistake. Some of you are nodding. You've been taught that in your classes. Who had control? No one did. We could agree to disagree. And we had different philosophies. Well, the first year went very, very well, and they were so happy with what we were doing. We did all the work, and they wanted to collect the dividends. But they wanted all the profits to go to them, or to go to the stockholders. We thought the profits should go back into the business. You see the conflict that existed? That 50-50 partnership is one of the worst mistakes we ever made, but we learned from it. Eventually, we bought them out for their small investment in the business. Their payoff was very, very large. They did make a lot of money, but we owned the company. It was well worth it. And they gave us what we needed to get started. So, the company at that time was called the Video Journal of Education. That was its birth. As we signed that agreement with those partners, we jumped on a roller coaster, really, that has never stopped. I jumped off to come on a mission. My sons are still on it, and it's going fast and fast. They go so fast, it just takes my breath away. I can't keep up with them, but they're much younger than I am, so they can do it. We did have retirement funds. That was our one asset. Everyone in the school system thought we were stark raving mad when we said we were going to withdraw our retirement funds to buy video equipment. We had to have broadcast quality equipment. It was critical that the quality of what we did be very high. Our work began, and it literally was night and day. For many, many years, I worked 16 to 18 hours. And if you're starting a business, be prepared to do that. If you don't like to work those kind of hours, unless you are magic. I don't know anyone that just started a business working 8 hours a day. It just doesn't happen. So be prepared to put in the hours. Well, we sent out our first mailer. We designed a little brochure. We planned 9 programs for that first year with topics, and named our partners as expert presenters, and planned to feature students that they led us to. We sent out 200 brochures with a letter of endorsement from our partners, and we received 87 orders. How's that for a mass mailing? So those of you who've had business experience, that's pretty phenomenal, isn't it? We were ecstatic. Do you know where one of our first orders came from? Is anyone from Palau? There are a few students here from Palau. We had never heard of Palau. Boy, we had to get on our necks and see where Palau was. We sent to all of the mailing list had U.S. zip codes, and Palau had been a territory of the United States. We received an order from Palau and one from Guam. We were so excited. We felt very international. But most of our orders came from across the United States. And do you know, we have not produced one video yet. So we pre-sold the subscription and provided money for us to produce the videos. We had to get busy. as we determined who would do what in a company, my husband and I started, we needed a lot of help. Our partners and my husband determined I should be the president. I have pretty good skills at organizing and managing. My husband's an artist. He did not want to run the company at all. He's a creative director. I was fine with that. I'm very comfortable with that. Then our oldest son and his wife had been working for Nordstrom. Those of you in the United States will know that company. Our son had been a buyer and a manager. He joined us a few months later to be in charge of sales and marketing. Our daughter-in-law, his wife, had great background in accounting, so she took over the books, and the four of us were running the business. We still needed more help. Well, who do you turn to that you can trust, especially when you're running a business out of your home? We have more family members. Our youngest son was in 6th grade, the next son was in 10th grade. They packaged, they shipped, they helped us with production. Our daughter joined us. One by one, family members came in. Our son Corey was on his mission at the time, and as soon as he came back, we put him to work. We didn't pay for our children's education, but we did provide work for them. So I am a great advocate of family businesses, and we'll talk more about that. It's critical as you hire people that you hire people you know and trust. We actually offer our employees now a $100 reward if they refer someone to a position in the company and that person is hired. Because we know employees will refer someone that they know will fit into our culture and will be a good employee. We had to have some standards as we started the business. This was really critical, and I think it's an important part of a business plan. One, whatever we did had to be of the very highest quality possible in terms of time and resources. We knew that anything that we were presenting to schools had to be based on research. It had to be substantial. Well, how are we going to get the research? We could do it ourselves, but we knew there were a lot of experts out there that had done the research, or they had taken the research of someone else and had determined how to adapt it so it was applicable in a classroom. So we made up our minds we would go after the top names in education. I had to call people that I had read about. I had seen their names for years. It scared me to death. But I had to take the risk. I had to make those phone calls. And those people turned out to be our great friends. And they were great advocates for us and continue as our friends today. Whatever we did, we knew it had to prove in order to fulfill our mission. Whatever the experts advocated, we had to show that it could be applied by teachers in classrooms and prove that it would increase student achievement. So we had to have excellent teachers, really highly exemplary teachers. We've seen a few videos that have been produced for education. They were dreadful. They were so boring. I used to watch films in the school that I worked in. They were black and white, old films. I knew when my principal called one of those meetings, this was good work time. I could take my plan book and do all my lesson planning while that film was running to get ready for sitting there. Don't do that in your classes, please, even if they're boring. But, do you know, because of that experience, we knew our videos had to be entertaining. We had to put music into them. We had to capture educators emotionally. And you know, we knew that was right, but we didn't have any research base for it. Later on, as we came to understand research on the brain, that was validated for us. Whenever we have an emotional experience, we remember it. It goes into our long-term memory. That's why I gave you the chocolate. You may not remember anything else about this day, but you'll remember the chocolate. Was it good? Yes. Good. So, the entertainment value is critical. Now, we set up a business in our home. We had to travel a lot. Money was very tight. We had a motorhome. And that's another story for another day. How teachers without any money would have a motorhome. It was a large motorhome, 32 foot. But it would take us back and forth around the country. So, we loaded the motorhome with our equipment. Our youngest son traveled with us. We worked with his teachers. We tutored him along the way. We did a lot of production in New York State where our partners were from and have created phenomenal schools. We went to Texas, we went to Pennsylvania, Virginia, Michigan, Washington. We drove a lot, and it was wonderful. We loved it. And we set up a table in the motorhome so that we could catalog tapes as we drove. I would drive, my husband would do the cataloging. It was an adventure. Oh my goodness, that driving took a lot of time though. So after about a year and a half, we knew we just could not keep driving. We had to start buying plane tickets. With Delta Airlines, last January, I did 2 million miles of travel. And I probably have about another 500,000 miles on other airlines. Anyway, it was a lot of travel. Kind of airline junkies. We have visited hundreds of schools, and it has been the highlight of my life. We've been, and by the time I stopped doing production about 5 years ago, we have been in over 3,500 classrooms, the best of the best classrooms, where students were learning at very high levels. Those classrooms were like magic, and we videotaped and we captured real teaching going on and real students learning. Now, can you imagine going into a classroom with television cameras, lights, putting a microphone on teachers? Oh, teachers were so often nervous. But, you know, we helped them calm down. We talked to the students about what we were doing and had great experiences with them. It is such a joy to work with people who are dedicated in what they're doing. I actually learned more about being a good Christian in my experiences with these dedicated teachers than I actually had growing up in the church. I have never seen people that had more capacity to love and to love all children and dedicate themselves to the success of every single one of their students. Even the rowdy little kid that they had a hard time controlling. They did everything they could to make sure every student was successful. It's been such a joy to work with them. You know, teachers don't do that job for pay. They do it for the love of making a contribution to society through the children or the students that they teach. They go to great lengths to make sure they're successful. Now, there are many steps of creating a product. There's the pre-production, and I usually handle that part of it. I did extensive research. We identified topics that were popular, that were needed, and then we would research those topics so that we really understood them well. We would look for the best expert in that area that we could feature. And we knew the expert would lead us to the schools that were doing the best job of applying their innovations and their ideas. We had to have release forms signed by all of the parents of the students that we videotaped. We had to create contracts with schools and with our presenters. And then we went on the road to do the production. And it was hard work. We had a lot of equipment to move around. Currently, we have about 3 production teams that are all over the country. In fact, I know as I speak right now, there's at least one team that's out shooting somewhere in a school. They have small cameras that they videotape everything. It's saved on a little disc the size of a postage stamp. We have big cameras. We had tapes at first that would only last for 15 minutes, so we had to change them every 15 minutes. Can you imagine the number of tapes we had to pack with us? It was an enormous number. Unfortunately, the airlines didn't charge for baggage at that time, so we took a lot, believe me. Then, once we had the tape in the can, we had to start the post-production work. All the tapes had to be cataloged. Scripts had to be developed. We produced in a documentary style, and then we shot the video first and then created the script. And it's a format that has worked extremely well for us and continues to this day. We also wanted to include a facilitator's guide to go with the tapes. We had to select music. Remember, we needed that emotion in the programs. And then we had a wonderful editor, probably one of the most talented editors in the Western U.S. He could have gone to California and made an enormous amount of money. He is so talented. He did not want to raise his family in California. So he chose to stay in Utah. He's a very passionate man and has been a tremendous asset. He is still editing our tapes. Eventually, we bought out his editing studio and made it a part of the School Improvement Network. So he directs all of the editing of our programs now. He's been with us for a long, long time. He loves this work. He loves the contribution he can make. We had to learn a lot about printing, graphic art, to package the tapes. This is the way they looked, and I had to take these off the internet. They're really horrible pictures, but it gives you an idea. You can see the way the logo has changed over the years. And we would change the packaging. We packaged them in big albums. They were really pretty impressive looking. And after a few years, we started going to conferences, and we saw people that had copied and done exactly what we had done. But there was one thing they could not do better than us, and that was the quality of what we did. They could not match our quality, no matter how hard they tried, and our industry recognized it. Our dedication to quality and following our mission was really a great key to our success. Now, small businesses have lots of challenges. First of all, everyone has to wear a lot of hats. I was producing all of the tapes, but I was also doing day-to-day office operations. So I spent a lot of time on the phone. In the first year, there were not cell phones. So I can't tell you how many pay phones I've done business with. Over. Well, everyone was waiting for me in a car. Anyway, we learned that what we were doing had never been done in education. Schools provided some training for teachers, but usually it was a talking head that they would bring in that would just lecture. They weren't used to using video. So we had to sell that concept along with selling our programs. Does that make sense? We had to sell them on the idea that this is something that would work. That made the sales a little harder, but once purchased and used, we had a lot of buy-in. We had to maintain good cash flow. Fortunately, in education, our clients were primarily government entities. They have to pay their bills. We could always collect. We had very, very few expenses that we had to write off. Almost none. Sometimes it would take 2 years to collect, but we were always able to get payment. Did a great deal to help our cash flow. We had to make sure that we kept our mission in the forefront of our mind. You know, when you're so busy, it's really easy to forget what we're doing this for. You just want to meet the deadline. from day to day. But we had to remind ourselves frequently why we were doing it, what our mission was. And then as you start hiring a lot of employees, brand new challenges come. One of our employees said to me once, "Blanch, why don't you just write a book about employees?" I said, "Wow, I could do it." I think about the man that would sneak into our offices at night and sleep there because his wife would ask him to leave their home. And another man was calling dentists all the time. We couldn't imagine what's wrong. We discovered he was addicted to painkillers. Couldn't keep him around. Anyway, a lot of interesting people come in the doors. We do background checks now on everyone and have a lot more understanding about how well, what their background is and what they're able to do. I have to tell you, we were working so hard. We worked 7 days a week. We would always go to church and then come home and go to work on Sunday afternoons. You know, that always kind of ate away at me. We just had so much to do. We would justify it, you know, feeling like there was a full herd of oxen in the mire. There came a time when I said, "I'm not going to work anymore on Sunday." And you know, I gave such a testimony of the Sabbath. Still got the work done. The work was accomplished. And I didn't work on the Sabbath day anymore. There's so much learning that goes on when you are involved in your own endeavor. I call them gifts. Wonderful gifts that the Lord allows us to learn from each experience. Now, working with family. Ooh, time's going too fast. Okay. Family has to be driven by the mission. It's challenging, it's wonderful, it's not all good, but it's not all bad. We have to communicate openly and we have to understand everyone's strengths and weaknesses. This book is especially helpful, and I'd like to give this away to someone. Strength Finder. There's a little test in here you can take. We have to honor differences. We have to collaborate. We need to separate family time from business time. At a family dinner, not everyone was in the business, so if we were talking about business, we were leaving people out. We had to have time away from it. You have to work at working with family and work hard at it. This is a picture of the family in front of the building. Now, speaking of family, I have to tell you very honestly, I get the question all the time, "Sister Linton, where's Elder Linton?" Tragically, there is no Elder Linton. My husband and I were divorced 3.5 years ago after 42 years of marriage. It was not because of the business, but there were other choices that were made. And that was a huge tragedy, but I want you to know the Lord has blessed me so much, incredibly, through that experience. That is another reason that I have to serve. My 3 sons, we call them the 3 C's, they're the executives. They're all very different, and people will tell me all the time, "I can't believe they're your sons, they're so different." But they've identified their strengths and their skill set. Chet, the one in the middle, is the CEO. He's the oldest son. The one on the left is Corey. He's very much into the technologies, had a great career with Microsoft and with business. He's highly competitive. Curtis went to film school at USC. He's over the production. They don't compete with each other, and I think that is the reason that they are able to work so well together. And they all work very, very hard. There's a 4th son. He was in the Marine Corps. When he was in college and he working for the company, he'd say, "Mom, don't feel bad, I'm not going to work for the company business." And he went off and became an officer in the Marine Corps. Well, his brother started talking to him about coming into the business. He did 2 tours. This picture was taken when he was returning from the 2nd tour of duty in Iraq. And then a son-in-law, Brady McKay, had a great career with the Drug Enforcement Administration, retired, and he's joined the company now to set up a new track doing the same for law enforcement that we do for education. Now, I just have to say something quick about working with employees. We found if we exercise, and apply gospel principles, employees are great. We have to lead the way Christ led. With love, we have to be fair, we have to be kind, but we have to have high expectations and hold people accountable. And I always said I can never expect anything from an employee that I am not willing to do myself. We ran into hard times. Our market changed, and we did an unthinkable thing. We borrowed from our home equity. I know a lot of people that have borrowed money using their homes as collateral, and they've ended up losing their homes because they borrowed it for their children. We felt very good about doing that, and it paid off. We tried some things that didn't go so well. Our first endeavor in online, we found schools didn't have the bandwidth. So we had a couple of years that were really challenging. We changed the company name to the School Improvement Network, which was our corporate name. But we were doing a lot more than just videos, so you can see how the logos have changed. And the one at the bottom is the current logo. It's been with us for a long time. And then we started an online product. We digitized the videotapes and started what is called PD360. We broke the programs. These were our programs that we already had. We took 45 most popular ones, divided them, broke them down so that they were short segments. Teachers could see them anytime, any place, and our industry loved it. Our sales boomed. So we had to do a lot of hiring. We had the office space, had to keep going. The boys bought an abandoned bowling alley, which became our first office, our first owned office. We'd always been leasing space. We grew out of that, and they bought an abandoned building next door, which was an old Safeway store. And now we've grown out of it, and eventually they will move into a building in downtown Salt Lake. Besides our mission, a cause has been adopted. You've seen that little logo 100%. It's on the candy numbers, it's on everything. Our cause is 100%. The technology has made it possible for us to create multiple products. There is one called Home 360, which are national standards of education with the goal that all students, that 100% of students be college and career ready by the time they graduate from high school. We really adopted that as a cause to make sure all 100% of teachers are effective. It's a big vision and a big goal. Our employees feel a sense of purpose. We have a lot of fun together. This is a picture of a building recently purchased in downtown Salt Lake, which they will move into in September. And I said, please, save a little corner by the window as a founder's office. I want to come back. I want you to know this is a highly blessed business. Going through, reflecting upon this long history has helped me realize more than ever before how much the Lord has been with us, how much He has blessed us. We have evidence to show that our mission has been accomplished. Teachers that use our products show that math proficiency among their students increases by 19%, reading has increased by 18%. There are fewer dropouts in schools and higher graduation rates. I want to thank you all for this opportunity and leave just a few minutes for questions. There is some swag up here if you want to take a wristband. We have a lot of Hawaiian influence. We call these kuleana bands. We use a lot of Hawaiian words because there's a lot of people that went to BYU Hawaii that worked for us or that lived in Hawaii, and so we adopt kuleana. Hui Koa is the incentive program for our salespeople. Kina Ole is our program of excellence. We have tikis all over the office, and everyone gets tikis as rewards. We love the Hawaiian influence. The wristbands say kuleana, maybe 100% have them. You're welcome to take one. There are a few pens also. My cards are here if you'd like to look at the website. So, minutes. Yes.
How dependent are your sales to schools on government policy on requiring educational systems to spend money on teacher development?
It's mandated now. And there is funding available. Believe me, we've always had to track the funding. The federal government has adopted funding. Most states have funding. And so that's been a tremendous boon to our business when because that funding is available. Are there other questions? Yes, sir.
When you started, how long did it take you to become cash flow positive?
Actually, we were cash flow positive in our first year. But after we started in 1991. 1998 was our biggest year. We hit $4 million. We thought that was really a glorious time, and our sales hit $4 million. And then our market started to change, and our sales started going down. We had a few years that we had to take a loss, but we got through them with great blessings. So, but early on, we were cash flow positive very, very early. We were very fortunate in that way. Any other questions? Yes.
Sister Linton, family businesses are wonderful. And congratulations on creating a great one. We've all seen a lot of them that fail.
Absolutely.
It's been my experience that most of them that fail because of what I would perceive to be jealousy. One brother earning more than another one. How do you overcome that in a family business? Is that a fair question?
Yes, the question is, how do you overcome the problems of a family business? Brother Stagg has seen family businesses fail, and he attributes it primarily to jealousy, with one member making more money than another, and those kinds of conflicts. There are conflicts. We haven't had conflicts of jealousy because everyone has their own individual role. I think that has been one of the biggest blessings. Everyone has their own skills, their own strengths, their weaknesses, and differences are understood. You have to understand the differences. Now, our oldest son, who's the CEO, started, so he obviously has the most stock. He makes the most money. His brothers came in later. They have less stock. They don't make as much money. Honestly, they all do pretty well. They're doing fine. But that hasn't really been a problem. The greater problems are more philosophical, different ideas in which conflicts arise, and different ways that people should be paid. They really are philosophical, but we've been able to work those out. And generally they do. I don't know if it will always be that way, because there are vast differences in them.
Thank you.
Does anyone have a birthday today? Is it anyone's birthday? Tomorrow? This week?
But not me, I'm not a student.
Oh, Sister Brown, this has to go to a student. Anyone have,
My birthday's this year.
Good.
My wife's is at the end of the month.
Anyone know this week? Not February. You have a birthday this week.
My birthday's tomorrow.
Well, now you got two
Were
months.
you in the hall? Okay. It goes to you. This book it has a test in it. You have to, has a code. Go online, take the test. I highly recommend this book. It's really wonderful to identify your own strengths and those of people you work with. We've really gotten into these kinds of things, and it has been a great asset to us. Okay, thank you all so much.